Dramatic. All right, we're good to go, Glenn. Thank you. Oh, there I am. All right, welcome everybody. It's Sunday, we're at church, and this is nice. My name is Clayton. I am a Canadian, and it's why I sound different than most of you here. And for anyone who hasn't met me before, I'm an ex-accountant. But that was days long gone by. My new career path was interning at this church for a full year, and it really set me up. And that's why I'm here today, and I'm loving every bit of it. So, I thought I'd share a little story. And it's actually hilarious that you guys use gold coins, because it is about coins. Specifically, the Canadian toonie. Wow. What does that toonie look like? Well, solid gold in the middle with a silver ring. And this was worth $2 Canadian. And it was my allowance when I was 6 years old. I got one every single week. Mom would pull a nice shiny toonie out and go, "Here you go, Clayton. Here you go, Gavin," my older brother. "That's your allowance." And I was like, oh, I think I'm rich. I could do so much with this. You know, I have no living expenses, so it's just pleasure with this money. And so, as a 6-year-old boy, you pretty much only buy candy, as one does. I was a little odd in that I like to save money more than spending it, so I might spend 25 cents of that $2. But boy, that 25 cents was great, and that $1.75 was also quite good. But why would mom and dad give us an allowance at such a young age? What's the point? I think there's this early realization that things cost money. The good things cost lots of money, like sweeties. As we got older, our desires grew more mature, such as video games. No more did we just want candy. We wanted the material possessions of this world. And at 12 years old, me and my brother managed to scrounge up $50 between us. That's $25 each. And we bought ourselves a Nintendo 64, and that was a joyous day. For our parents did not let us have video games till that day. Thankfully, we had our neighbor and family friend, Danny, had video games, so we got to play with him. So that really held us over till we got our own N64 at 12 years old. And it was the only sad part about that story, that system was already a few years old, so it's like, it's good, but there's still better. We could have better. And so as we got older, we desired the better. We got the Xbox 360. Now that's living on the edge. You get violent video games at that stage. Whew, pretty exciting. But then I got into sports, which made me broke for a little while, but snowboarding was a lot of fun. I got a concussion from that, but the other memories are also really good. As we get older, everyone understands then that one day you move out, and the fun money isn't as fun anymore because you actually spend even more money on just being able to live. There's something called rent. People want to have you pay them to live at their house, even your parents. Just kidding. They let me live at home for free while I went to school, but I paid rent eventually. I'm a contributing member of the society. Then if you want to move out and become mobile, especially because you're in Canada, you need a car because everything's 40 miles apart. And then so that costs money. And then if you want a house, that costs even more money. And the principle was learned at age 6 that things cost money. The good things cost lots of money. Now let's go back in time to when I'm 8. But we're going down a different life lesson learned. And essentially it's don't be bad. And it quickly learned that being bad had pretty negative effects on my relationships. Specifically with my brother, we'd play this game of punch and run. We didn't agree to play it. We would get mad at each other, punch, and then run to mom, or as close to mom as you could get without tattling on yourself. And then my brother Gavin, it's just me and him, he went up and he would punch me back, and then he would run, and then I'd have to sneak off. There's a very vivid memory of this at Walmart, when you could hide within the clothing racks after punch and run. It's punch, run, and hide, and then stay near to mom. But the consequences of being bad, there's a little bit of turmoil that we get over pretty quickly when we're quite young. And then mom would have to deal with us, and then we're like, oh, better avoid mom for the next hour. But she's quite lovely, and she's very loving towards us, the same with my dad. But even when we're accidentally bad, emphasize accidentally bad. That seems to even have dire consequences. So we had this neighbor down the road. The son's name was Johnny. He was about my age, again, about 8. and we're playing basketball in his driveway. But his driveway's made of tarmac, and it kind of edges into some gravel, and just started cracking near the edges. Boy, was that crack in the tarmac so tempting, just to pull it up, just to take it apart. Oh, that 8-year-old mind could not resist the sweet temptations of those curves. So I looked at it, looked up, and this is the best thing I could ever do with my life right now is pull that up. So I bent down and promptly lifted with both hands, and 8-year-olds aren't very strong, but it slowly came up because it was fairly cracked, and oh, was it satisfying. It just peels right up that tarmac. And I thought, why not do it again? I deserve this. I'm 8, and I don't think about consequences quite yet. And so I go down for the second piece, and I'm ready for the joy of the that would happen. And out comes Johnny's dad. And he is furious with the fire I've never seen before in an adult, and his love for his driveway. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop pulling on my driveway. Hey, stop that." And he comes running out, and I run home because I'm scared of an adult that yells at me. And so just bawling my eyes out, because I quickly realized what I did was wrong. But when I got there and pulling it up, I thought, this is fine. It was cracked anyways. It's supposed to be lifted up. And so my dad, I remember, was sitting at the dining room table just eating afternoon food. And he's, "Oh, son, why are you crying?" And I'm sobbing uncontrollably this time because I was a pretty nice kid. So when you do something bad, it feels extra bad. And it's like, Dad, I did something bad. It's like, "What'd you do, son? It's okay," rubbing my back. It was very comforting, my dad. I'm like, "Dad, I pulled up Johnny's dad's driveway." He's like, "Oh," kind of surprised that this is what I'm running home with. And he's totally chill about it, which I'm really confused about. He's like, "That's okay, Clayton, we make mistakes, we'll go fix it, don't worry about it." And in my brain, I'm like, we're gonna fix his driveway? We never did. But I'm sure the thought was there. What's funny is I don't actually have any memories with Johnny and his family after this. We weren't super close to start with, which might help. But I do remember avoiding his dad. I do remember thinking, I don't want any piece of him, even though he did nothing wrong. That was a righteous anger in that dad. Every dad loves his driveway, not to be pulled up by 8-year-olds. So there's this real emotional turmoil, this not being able to look at the man I've wronged, this awareness that this is not good, and even if I said sorry, I don't think I'd want to talk to him anymore. And then as we get older, that concept doesn't change. When we've wronged somebody, it affects the relationship. And there's the expression, "Oh, I've burned that bridge with that person," we say tongue in cheek. But it's hard to build those relationships back. And the awful part is when we can't, when we try to repair damage we've caused on our own or they've done to us, but we're trying to repair it anyways because we love them. There's these actions that sometimes that just seemingly can't be repaired. So these life lessons I learned as a child were the good things cost money and don't be bad. Now Jesus also tells stories. He is God's son, and so he lived about 2,000 years ago, came to this earth. And he told a lot of stories, actually. He was a big fan of stories. And so, where we go today, if you want to follow along in your Bible, you won't be able to, I'll be honest. I'm doing the Clayton rendition. But if ever you wanted to read the words for yourself, it's in Luke 15. So, here we go. Jesus tells a story. There's a father who had 2 sons, an older and a younger. The younger son decides farming is not my thing anymore. Cattle are great, sheep are fine, but I think there's something better in the world. I think there's something bigger. And know what that is? In that city really far away, that is so big. I freaking love that city. I've heard so many stories about that city. That's where the party's at. Step 2, I need money. I have some savings, but I need more. Know who's got more? Dad. Dad's got lots of money. And it's kind of mine anyways. I'm his son. I'm entitled to that money. At least half. There's only me and my brother. And so he goes up to his dad. And I don't know if he realizes the audacity of the statement. It's like, "Dad, I would like my inheritance now, please." Because what that is effectively saying is, "Dad, I wish you were dead. I wish that the relationship is fine, but your money's better. Because in a normal society, or a normal relationship, the relationship is better than the money. And the money just kind of is something that's got to be settled. Like, you can't just sit in that house after dad passes away. And the dad should be fuming. He should be Johnny's dad level of mad about his pavement. But we don't see that for some reason. What we see is a dad who's willing to give his son the freedom to make his own decisions. And he says to his son, okay. So he divvies up the wealth between the two boys. But it says it takes a few days for the son to leave. And I'd like to think in that time the dad, out of love, is reasoning with his son, is like, son, have you thought this through? Do you really want to go? Have you heard of anyone coming back from that city happy? Have you ever heard of anyone living there long term and just loving their family well? And I don't think that's what the son wanted to hear. The son wants to live a wild life. I want the experiences that farming cannot bring. I'm done with contentment. I want a party. And so he leaves. The Bible's really brief in this next point of the story. It says he squandered all of his money on wild living. That's all he gets after just destroying his relationship with his dad. And it says the city was far away. It's not like he can just pick up the phone and go, Daddy, I'm sorry, I miss you. He's got these hard decisions to make, a burned bridge behind him, no money, and no food in his belly. So know what's worse than being broke in a big city? A famine than being broke in a big city. Because that's what just happened. And Jesus goes on to say in this story, the boy ran out of money, and a famine happens. So he's in a bit of a pickle. A hungry stomach kind of makes a man wise, I would like to think. It's a parable I could say I made up right now, but who knows. So he strikes a touch of luck by speaking to a local pig farmer and gets to work. How ironically, on a farm again, what he was doing for his dad, but for much less money. Because it says he worked for the farmer and was still starving. Even the food he fed to the pigs, he wishes he could have ate. I don't own a pig farm, but I am aware of what pigs eat, and it's not the best. So to be so hungry that you are desiring the absolute filth that goes into a pig is a low spot. So where do we go once you're at the bottom? The brother starts thinking, using his self-assessment tools that brought him into this mess, surely he can get him out of this mess. So he goes, I'm broke, and I'm hungry. I'm broke and I'm hungry. Who's not broke and hungry? Dad's staff. Dad's servants. He feeds his servants. I remember that. I remember after every shift, he would throw a little barbecue for all the staff. Dad's got lots of money. Of course he's going to throw a little barbecue for all of his staff. I burned that bridge. Okay. I'm not going back as son. I'll go back as servant. This is, yeah, we got it, boys. We got it. We're going back home. Pig farmer, adios. I got a dad to meet. I got to go not be his son anymore, but I got a new job back home. I'm going to go do that job. So he's quite content with this new plan because his belly is going to be full at the end of the day, and he's ready to go. So where's the father in this story at this stage? I think a very reasonable response is irate anger, inner frustration, unforgiveness. The son has taken, I would argue, half of his wealth. That's usually what goes with inheritance and having two kids. The betrayal of a love where you've unconditionally loved this child, and he says, I'd rather you be dead. I can have your stuff. I'm sure he could have been mulling over how much he owes him back. Like, if my son comes back here, he's working for free for the next 40 years of his life, and then some more. That's a normal, reasonable response, I think, to when you've been wronged. But that's not the story we get when Jesus tells this story. It says that when the son was a far ways away, the father saw the son and is elated. He picks up his robes and runs to his son and embraces him. The son prepares his speech with quick haste. Dad, I'm no longer able to be your son. Please just let me work as a servant. I'm ready to go. Let's go. And the father hears none of it. He's embraced his child and just weeping with joy. And he yells to his staff, grab the ring, put the family ring back on his finger, grab the nicest robe we have, put the sandals on his feet. The boy's got no shoes anymore. What happened to your shoes? And so he's got, give him the best shoes we have. Our son is home. We need to celebrate. Oh, guys, remember that fattened calf we were going to have like at the end of the year? No, it's now. We're having it now. The barbecue is now. My son is home. We celebrate today. And this is not the response that you would expect, but a man overcome by love for his son who was dead and then come back to life. And that was the father's words. My son is, you were gone and you've been found, you were dead, but now you're alive to me again. And just this elation. So they go back to the house, they start the party. And then we turn to the older brother. And the older brother is starting to come in from a hard day's work. He's been working hard for Papa. You know, I've never wronged Papa. I'm the good older brother. I'm the good brother. You know, I have done no wrong to him, and he loves me a lot. And so he hears this noise, this commotion. He says to one of the staff members, hey, what's going on over there? That's a lot of noise for a Tuesday afternoon. We party on Thursday afternoons. It's not part of the schedule. And so the staff goes, didn't you hear? Your brother's back. That fattened calf. We're eating it tonight. Isn't this great? The brother is furious, just irate at the stupidity of his dad. And so his dad comes out, and dad says, why aren't you coming in, son? This is good news. And his older son just rips into his dad. Are you serious? Are you serious, Dad? That man spent all of your money on prostitutes, wild living, everything you've worked for your entire life. He took half of it, and you're happy? What about me? I've stayed with you this entire time. You've given me no goats. None of my friends have had a party. And the dad is crushed by the unlove in the oldest son's eyes and the words that come out of his mouth. And he responds to his son in love again. Son, everything I've ever had is yours. You could have asked and I would have given it to you. We need to celebrate. Your brother was dead, and you know that. He is home and alive now. We need to celebrate. He's back. We loved him. Please come in. And that's where the story ends. So why does Jesus tell this story? Why would he write this and say this and have it end up in the Bible? It's because God's love is actually free. And you can have never been so bad or made so many mistakes that you can never actually turn back to God's love. So I told you at the beginning of this that I learned two things that are important, that the good things cost money, and that bad things, being bad, affects your relationships, usually irreparably. But Jesus tells this story that when the Father loves you, the Father, the God, our Creator, is that it's absolutely free. The Son tried to work his way back into the family. And the Father said, no, you're in immediately. The damage through his actions should have burned a bridge so big, no one would cross it again. That bridge was immediately repaired as soon as the Father laid eyes on him. There's nothing you can do when you've made a mistake that would keep you from turning back to God who made you, back to our Father who loves us. And so, if you're hearing about this and you're wondering, like, how do you experience the Father's love? How do you experience this fullness? Well, it's actually by believing in Jesus, God's Son, and that he died on the cross 2,000 years ago to wipe away everything we've ever done wrong from what we've done now and anything we will do wrong in the future, to being in a relationship with the Father. Because the Bible actually tells us this verse where it says, God sent his only Son, Jesus, to die on the cross, that whoever believes in him will have everlasting life. It's this belief in God's Son. It's not this amount of hours you can work for God in the church. It's not about getting right beforehand. It's believing that the love God showed on the cross through Jesus is for you as well. There's this one other brief story where Jesus was performing miracles in the Bible. He was healing people, and a group comes up to him and says, "Hey, we want to do that too. What works must we do so that we can do these miracles like you? What do we have to do first?" And Jesus replies with this: "The Father, God, my Father, has one task for you, and it is merely to believe in the one whom he sent, which is me." The only work that Jesus replies to this group who's willing to work for these good things, these miracles that Jesus is performing, Jesus replies with, "Believe in me. Believe in everything I've said. Believe that when I die on the cross, everything you've ever done will be wiped away. All the sins, all the wrong you've done. It'll be a right relationship with the Father." That's what Jesus calls for us. And so if you're hearing about Jesus for the first time today, I'd love, and you want to experience this love, I'd love to lead us through a prayer. And to just repeat it in your heart if it's your first time, or if you're a Christian who are coming back to God and saying, oh, I've strayed away, but I want to come back, feel free to copy this along in your heart. And this prayer is the start of a relationship with God the Father forever, to embrace his love, to be the son that ran away but has come home. Because God is our Father. And this love is unconditional. This love is free, and you don't have to work for it. It's believing in his Son. So I'm gonna pray now. If you'd like to close your eyes, and just if you're saying it for the first time in your heart, very good news. This is exciting. This is angels in heaven rejoice with us today. So here we go. Jesus, thank you for your love. Thank you for the love of the Father. Thank you that you died on the cross 2,000 years ago to wipe away all the wrong and mistakes we've ever done. Forgive us for that, Jesus. We pray that we'd be able to experience your love each day going forward in the Father's love. Help us to walk along your path. In your name, amen. So if this is the first time you've ever prayed that, we would love to hear about it. You can come talk to me or one of the elders at the front, and we'd love to celebrate with you. This is big news. This is exciting news. And if you're on Zoom and you want to chat with somebody, we'll put up the church email, and you can send us an email, and we'd love to call and chat with you just about what you experienced today, or if you have any questions about the Bible or what that means to follow Jesus. But this is an exciting time if you're meeting Jesus the first time today. So yeah, to summarize again, you learn at a young age that the good things do cost money of this world. Being bad affects relationships, but with God, that's not the factor. It's free, and it's believing in his Son. And there's nothing you can do that'll take you so far away that you can never turn back to God. That's what's important here. Thanks, everybody. Over to Rob.
Thank you, Clayton. That was great. And if you're here or on Zoom and you've come and you don't feel that you have met with Jesus today and have got something to celebrate, but actually